traditional route, you know. Right? It's not. I'm just a thing. Look, it's nylon. It's ridiculous that we're even making eye contact.
It is ridiculous that I'm looking at you and I'm absolutely treating you as though you are a creature all by yourself.
Well, they're so respectful, and I do the same for you.
But Nina, were you saying all that?
Yeah, I'm saying it all, but it's hard actually when there's a third person involved to keep all three of us.
It's a lot of plates to spin.
I'm supposed to do one line each because it makes it seem more real. But you know, if he tours forever, then I look like the dummy.
Let me ask you. I like to ask all comedians this. What was the worst gig you ever did, Nina?
Well, I did one gig. I remember where I had to follow. Some strippers. That was hard.
Oh, yeah.
No one was really interested in words.
What on earth was that gig then?
Oh, I don't know, some private gig in Soho. But I mean, all those strippers, and I had to come on and keep my clothes on and bring out my talking telly.
I'm guessing there won't be any strippers at the Greenwich Comedy Festival, which you're doing at London's National Maritime Museum. The whole festival runs from the 23rd and 27th. There's loads of good acts on, and you're wonderful, Nina.
I'm excited.
Have a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you for speaking to us, Monkey.
Good luck on the train. Thank you, Arthur. I'm not even on her hand anymore.
Thank you, Nina.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you, Nina. Good to see you getting your monkey off your back. Let's come to the Radio 1 Extra and Club DJ Jam Supernova. As we know, all around the world, there continue to be any number of casualties of the COVID-19 pandemic, death and disease, as well as quite extraordinary economic damage to all sorts of industries, lifestyle activities. But Jams, in this documentary you make for me, Is This the End of Clubbing? You concentrate on the world of music, dancing and DJing, which you obviously know all about. So along with theatre, comedy and live performance, generally clubs have been dealt, well, it's quite fatal, it's wrong, but it's a fatal blow because clubs, they now exist.
I guess like for a lot of people, the rug's just sort of been pulled from under their feet, and for a lot of clubs have just been unable to reopen.
Yeah. Because of all things, a club is about in this current context, about the unhealthiest place you can be. You're crowded in, it's
Sweat
late night,
dripping.
you've had a drink or whatever else.
Yeah.
You're meeting new people or hoping to, sweat dripping as you say. So so you can see why it can't take place, and you've sort of sympathised with people and gone around, but also working out ways. Dara was telling us about ways of trying to do comedy without an actual audience crammed in, but people are supposed to sit at a table and tap to the music.
Yeah, so
not quite the same.
It's not the same. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a fun night out because it's something different.
Yeah.
And it kind of breaks up the weekend, something to look forward to. But yeah, you go to these venues that have the luxury outdoor spaces. A lot of venues have been able to transform their spaces, and then you can only go in tables of 6. You arrive with your group, you stay in your group, you sit at your table and you order all your drinks and food to the table. Yeah. You're not allowed to dance or sing.
Can you talk to other people?
No, so let's say you're sitting over there. I couldn't get up and come and have a chat with you.
We're socially spaced at the moment, safely spaced at the moment with Arthur right at the other end of the room, and we could wave at Arthur and not have to talk to him. Very much your world, because I mentioned you DJ on the radio, but you DJ in clubs and all sorts of around the world, which is a different thing. Radio.
Yeah, definitely. I guess it's because everyone's in it at the same time. It's hard to kind of be like, sad about it for yourself because everybody's going through it and various levels as well. But it was definitely like at the beginning of lockdown, just one by one, the gigs in the calendar just got cancelled.
Yes.
And then my manager, she kept sending me, emails telling me, this gig got cancelled. In the end, I was like, just stop telling me. Deleting them out of my calendar, and then that just felt like a real low blow.
You've been DJing around the world. DJ.
Oh, I really enjoyed DJing in Georgia. That was really fun.
Georgia in Eastern Europe or in America?
In Eastern Europe. Yeah, that was amazing. To Azerbaijan, that was really cool as well. Berlin's always a great place. And then just often find I play really well to Spanish-speaking audiences. I'm not sure why, but I play.
Are you speaking in Spanish or in English? So what do you take with you nowadays to do? Do you have to take a sound system or just an iPhone or something?
One USB.
Well, just a USB.
Two USBs, one for the backup USB, have a pair of headphones.
It always works.
Yeah.
That's always my terror.
Yeah.
Technical.
That's why you have the backup USB.
Yeah. Now, I've heard you done a programme on the British Council does radio broadcasting, which I didn't even know they did that. It's for rivals of BBC World Service. You broadcast on there to round the clock.
Yeah, so that's the 2-hour weekly show. It's all about UK music. So it's nice to kind of like almost reverse of what I do on Extra, which is about music from all around the world.
Yeah.
And probably UK music. It's UK music. I really enjoy it. So you go from like a club record to a wine record.
Well, when I heard of your British Council show, you went to Ghana, which sounded like a good trip. You had other work to do there, and then you were going around interviewing people again. And it sounded great, but you make the point along the way. You've got to have quite a lot of stamina to this lifestyle. You must do because you DJing for a few hours. By the end of the evening, you're up. Like, I bet the temptation is to go off and get more entertainment.
Yes.
So how do you cope with the pressure that puts on you?
I like to work out. I think that helps. Well, gym, I think being in the gym is good. I think that keeps my stamina up. I don't know, I just assume that I'll just sleep older. Really.
And in Ghana, you've got a lot of music from African, which is playing with all the various styles, but it's also very popular in not just in Ghana, like the festival programs from all over. So like Afro-Conference music, there's a whole sort of worldwide network of this.
The African diaspora,
Yeah.
100%. It's exciting. And I mean, at the moment, Afro beats or Afro pop, whatever you call it, is absolutely huge. It's massive.
Do you go to Nigeria to only mention that because I went once and met Fela Kuti
Oh,
in
no, you
Nigeria.
didn't?
I did,
Wow.
yes.
Wow.
Just only a year, sadly, before he died, but he was an interesting person to meet. I won't take a long time to explain the whole experience. But I suppose I am to be optimistic about things. Go back to your documentary. Sadly, when all this is over, there's going to be quite a lot of change in various industries and inner cities and office blocks, factories and all that. So there will be plenty of spaces to start up new clubs in.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it like that actually. I think that, there's definitely, I think that the clubbing world has been, even before the pandemic, has been sort of dealing with gentrification prior to that.
Yeah.
So I think even when, the pandemic is over, we'll still have the battle of fighting councils and licensing. So whilst we'll have there's buildings and there's definitely space, I think that, I'm not sure
Have you been to
whether...
any illegal raves?
No, I haven't. I haven't actually been invited. I think I'm out of that age group now. I'm gutted about it. I'm not
I think that's guns are anyway. Maintaining your stand. Only handing out my culture representative, but breaking the law. No, we're your own label as well, so not just a radio DJ, not just a club DJ, but you're also, again, you're discovering new music or signing people.
Yes.
So has this always been an obsession of yours, music? Not, but right from a very young age, you wanted to be the DJ, the producer, the arranger, rather than, let's say, playing music.
Well, I can't really sing, and I thought I could until about 13, 14. And then that was the plan. And then my mum was kind of like to me, look, you're good at a lot of things, but I just don't think this singing is for you. So I was like, right, I'll be behind the scenes then. So it's been definitely from a young age. I mean, that's kind of how I've spent a lot of my free time and hobbies is searching for music.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Jams, thank you very much for joining. Jams Supernova, great name.
Thank you.
For a bit of a theme for our programme, a space theme. But anyway, Jams' documentary, Is This the End of Clubbing? Is on the BBC iPlayer now. Jams Supernova is on BBC One Extra at 9 p.m. on Tuesdays, and Selector Radio, a show from the British Council, is available online now. Thank you very much for joining us on Radio 4. That's all for this week, and whether you're just switching on or about to switch on, remember you can listen to this edition of Presents on BBC Sounds, or catch up on previous week's interviews at any number of stars with Billy Ocean, Jane Birkin and Juno Clark. Thanks to all of this week's guests, Jams Supernova, Nicholas and Dara Green, Arthur Smith and Nina Conti. Today's producer was JP Devlin, and the studio manager was Gail Gordon. Next week my guests will include Adrian Lester and Nina Susanya. Till then, from me for now, goodbye.
BBC Radio 4 on federal building in Oklahoma.
When he is talking about what she despises the worst problem, he gets a little look in his eyes and will chill you to the bone.
An event from 1995 parallels the far right on the streets of America today.
They're making a mistake. Don't mess with us. And that goes right back to today.
On BBC Sounds and Radio 4, 2 minutes past 9, presented by me, Leah Tilly, this Monday to Friday at 1:45.
BBC News at midday. The government's chief scientific advisor has warned the UK could see 50,000 cases of coronavirus a day by mid-October, around 200 deaths a day in November, if the current rise in infections continues unabated. In a televised news conference, Sir Patrick Vallance said the vast majority of people in the UK were still susceptible to the virus, citing estimates that about 8% of the population had so far been infected. However, he raised the possibility that a vaccine could be ready by the end of the year. The government's chief medical officer, Chris Whitty, speaking alongside Sir Patrick, stressed the need to break unnecessary links between households, especially with winter on the horizon.
We're now going into the seasons, late autumn and winter, which benefit respiratory viruses, and it is very likely they will benefit COVID as they do, for example, flu. So we should see this as a 6-month problem that we have to deal with collectively. It's not indefinite, and science will in due course ride to our rescue. But in this period of the next 6 months, I think we have to realise that we have to take this collectively very seriously.
The Prime Minister is expected to set out new restrictions aimed at limiting the spread of COVID-19 in an address to the nation tomorrow. The Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, speaking on ITV's This Morning, suggested measures would focus on social settings rather than schools or workplaces. He was asked if pubs in England would be allowed to open next weekend.
We'll be absolutely clear about changes that we need to make in the very, very near future.
So that's a no.
It's not a no, and it's not a yes. It is we've been working on this all weekend. We haven't taken the final decisions about what we need to do.
The government has agreed new emergency deals with train companies, marking the end of rail franchises, which have been in place since the 1990s. Taxpayers will continue to cover losses on the railways caused by low passenger numbers for another 18 months. The bill has reached £3.5 billion since the national lockdown in March. The share price of Britain's biggest bank, HSBC, has fallen to its lowest level since 1995 amid allegations of money laundering. Leaked files show HSBC allowed fraudsters to transfer millions of dollars around the world, even after it had learned of their scam. The bank says it has always met its legal duties on reporting such activity. Shares in Standard Chartered, Barclays and Germany's Deutsche Bank were also sharply down. A court in Bulgaria has sentenced 2 men to life imprisonment for their part in a bomb attack on a bus carrying Israeli tourists in 2012. The attack was blamed on the Lebanese militant movement Hezbollah. Sebastian Usher reports.
The bomb attack at Burgas airport in Bulgaria 8 years ago killed 5 Israelis, including a pregnant woman and their Bulgarian bus driver. The man carrying the explosive was also killed. 2 other men were identified as his accomplices. One is a Canadian Lebanese man, the other Australian Lebanese. Neither man has been tracked down, and the 2 were sentenced in absentia for what was the deadliest attack against Israelis outside Israel for years. Both Israeli and Bulgarian investigators accused Hezbollah of being behind the attack.
A British man and his Australian colleague have been killed in an explosion in the Solomon Islands in the South Pacific, where they were mapping unexploded bombs from the Second World War. Stephen Atkinson and Trent Lee were working for the Norwegian People's Aid Agency, which said it was devastated by their deaths. A Nepalese mountaineer who was the only man to reach the summit of Everest 10 times without bottled oxygen has died. Ang Rita Sherpa, popularly known as the Snow Leopard, was 72. His family said he had a brain and liver disease. After his retirement from climbing, Ang Rita Sherpa had worked on conservation projects to protect the Himalayan environment. BBC News.
This is BBC Radio 4. Time now for our first instalment from The Vanishing Futurist by Charlotte Hobson. In London in 1974, Gertie, an old woman, recalls her dramatic years in Russia as a young woman and the fate of her friend, the young inventor Nikita Slavkin. In 1914, Gertie travels from Cornwall to Moscow to become a governess. The reader is Barbara Flynn.
Episode 1. On the night of the 21st of January 1919, the Russian inventor, physicist and polymath Nikita Slavkin vanished. In the months and years that followed, the Soviet press reported that the socialization capsule, Slavkin's latest invention, represented an extraordinary advance in human knowledge. Slavkin, building on the theories of his hero Einstein, had revolutionized our understanding of the universe. What's more, his disappearance was proof that his theories had a practical application. He had found a means of subverting time itself. The vanishing futurist, as he was dubbed, became a Soviet icon. Monuments and streets were named after him, biographies written, children's books, portraits, films. No word has been heard from him since that day. Yet the idea persists that one day he will reappear. In May 1914, much against the advice of my parents, I took up the post of governess to the Korbelev family at number 7 Gargaritsky Lane, Moscow. My new house was a large, ramshackle building in need of a good coat of paint. It was reddish-brown, with a hefty, slightly sagging facade of white columns and pediment. On the other three sides leaned a mass of shabby outbuildings and an overgrown lilac hedge. As I put my head out of the carriage, my first impression was of the dizzying scent of lilac and the heavy branches of pale, wet blossom gleaming in the half-light. My second was of a surprisingly deep and oily puddle into which I immediately stepped. I include these details because now that I sit down to piece together these memoirs, it strikes me that they give a rather accurate shorthand of my life with the Korbelevs. Before I left my home in Cornwall, my parents and their friends